Auzubillahiminash-shaytanir-rajeem. Bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim. Assalamu alaikum and a very warm welcome to everybody who's tuned into PTV World and watching World this morning alongside my very well-learned colleague who happens to be Miss Hajar Satti. I happen to be Shahzad Hassan Khan. Today happens to be Friday, Jummah Mubarak, but it is a very important day, ladies and gentlemen, and it's because of the fact that on the notification of the Prime Minister of Islamic Republic of Pakistan today, Yawm-e-Taqaddus-e-Quran is being observed, and it is really important for the entire Muslim Ummah to come together and to raise their voices, because what has been done is something which has hurt the emotions of all the Muslims all over the globe. First up, I would want you to please go ahead, take a good look at this package, and then once you're going to come back, we will certainly be in conversation with people who certainly will make us more aware of what needs to be done when we say that desecration of Holy Quran has taken place. And in recent years, we've seen that there's been an increase in it as well. First up, go ahead, and then afterwards, we'll continue.
The desecration of the Holy Quran took place outside the Swedish capital Stockholm's main mosque last week and was carried out by a man during a protest authorized by the police. Immediately after the news of the deplorable act went viral, Muslims around the world took to streets expressing their love of the holy book and condemned the heinous act. Voicing the sentiments of the Muslims, the Prime Minister of Pakistan, Muhammad Shahbaz Sharif, condemned the appalling incident and called for stepping up efforts against the religious hate. The heinous act has drawn strong criticism from several countries including Turkey, Jordan, Palestine, Saudi Arabia, Morocco, Iraq and Iran, as well as the European Union. In Pakistan, the parliament unanimously passed a resolution condemning the desecration of the Holy Quran in Sweden and called for OIC to deliberate and recommend measures to prevent Islamophobia. In this regard, peaceful protest demonstration will be staged all over the country, during which people belonging to different walks of life will take part to express their resentment over the desecration of Holy Quran in Sweden. Ulama belonging to different schools of thought will throw light on the sanctity of the Holy Quran during the sermons of Jummah prayer. The despicable act of public burning of a copy of Holy Book in Stockholm on the occasion of Eid al-Adha sparked worldwide protest and outrage. Officials from numerous countries, including many in the Middle East, have also reacted to the incident, calling on Stockholm to combat religious hate and Islamophobia. Morocco recalled its ambassador to Sweden for an indefinite period. Protesters stormed the Swedish embassy in Baghdad, Iraq, chanting. Meanwhile, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, condemning the incident, said it is not freedom of expression to insult the sacred values of Muslims. The Organization of Islamic Cooperation, in a statement following an extraordinary meeting of the 57-country strong group, has also called for collective measures to avoid desecration of the Muslim holy book. Analyst, PTV World, Islamabad.
And like it was alluded in the package before, on the call of Prime Minister, we are going to observe this day we are going to protest against the desecration of a holy book, that too in the Sweden, which happened on the first day of the Eid, which is very unfortunate. In Shahzad, we have seen often in the world that how the free speech ideals are hijacked, they're abused, and that too under the banner of freedom to insult, especially with insulting our innermost, deepest feelings, because we hold Quran very dear to our hearts. And we've seen how it has been abused. Like, how can we control this Islamophobic sentiment across the world and make sure that our voices are heard? So to talk more about it, we are very glad that we have been joined by Dr. Abdul Basit Saab. Assalamu alaikum, sir, and thank you so much for joining us.
Wa alaikum assalam. My pleasure.
Right, sir. So we have seen that how free speech ideals are abused, they are violated, that too under the banner of freedom to insult. And not just that, it's not just the people who are doing that, there are also structures and institutions within the Swedish state that are protecting it, because that guy had that court order to burn that. So we've seen that the structures are also very Islamophobic nature. So how can we curb this menace in the first place? How can we make sure that our voices are heard and our sentiments are not heard again and again, because we are seeing an increase in the Islamophobia across the world?
In fact, this is designed, this is planned, and as you see, this very recent incident that was protected by the security agencies and police and everything, and you see Muslims, so many countries and so many people, but we are not heard properly because we are not united. At least this is the time, this is high time that whole Muslim Ummah must unite themselves. And at the same time, we must unanimously, through OIC and through our governments and our different embassies at different places, we must plead this case that This is not freedom of expression. This is hate action and hate speech, and this is blasphemous. And at the same time, this is designed. This is not what could say incidentally something is happening. And one thing is that we must take very strict action if all Muslim countries allow around the globe, they just discontinue their diplomatic relations with Sweden. So that would be a lesson for other countries. And at the same time, as you know, that these Scandinavian countries in general and Sweden in particular, they have these dairy products, and this is consumed by all Muslim world countries as well. So today, at the same time, we have to think that how can we put pressure financially, economically, and through disruption of trade. So this
Abdul Basit Mujahid Sahab, just a minute, sir, over here, and I'm very sorry to interject, but I'm just trying to connect the dots over here where you mentioned that it's already planned. So imagine, I think it was 1 or 2 months ago that that the Swedish embassy over here in Pakistan shuts down, and then afterwards we see that there was desecration of Holy Quran which took place over there, unfortunately, which shouldn't have happened, hurting the sentiments of 2 or 2.5 billion Muslims all over the world. Not just that, now sir, what I would want you to kind of share with us and our viewers is, how do you think, what measures needs to be taken by the Muslim Ummah collectively all together all over the globe to make sure that from here onwards nobody will dare to desecrate our holy book?
So that, Shahzad, I was saying the same thing, that at least we must tell them that now it is, limit has been already crossed.
True.
So nobody should dare to do that thing. So for that purpose, there should be concrete steps taken by the Muslim world, and that should be a disruption of diplomatic relations with Sweden, what I suggest. And at the same time, boycott of their old products. And there must not be imports into Muslim world of the products of this Sweden at the same time. But at the same time, what I would like to awfully say that OIC is not doing anything. You see, starting from Kashmir till this Palestine issue and Chechnya and this Burma, no any presence is shown of OIC. So again, I re-stress this thing that now there must be some potential Muslim countries like Pakistan, Turkey, Malaysia, Afghanistan, Iran, they must form a what we could say regional federation or confederation or anything like EU, that they must have their what we could say common currency and common defense, and they have that much potential that if they do like this, then whole Muslim Ummah would follow the suit.
Yes, and this is the need of the hour, that Abdul Basit Saab, we need to make OIC more functional, because there are 57 Muslim countries out there, which makes a huge population out there, and we need to make sure that our voices are heard. Especially we need to convey this message to the social media giants, in California especially, that they need to curb this menace of the Islamophobic acts on the social media in the first place, because Islamophobia in the previous ages, it was it was the domain of the commoners, but now it has been transcended to the social media, and everyone has this capacity who is freely abusing it, insulting it, which should not be the case. But thank you so much, Abdul Basit Saab, for having this very cross-pollination of the ideas, and especially how can we tackle the Islamophobia and such sort of insults in the first place.
And thank you so much, Hajra, for pointing it towards that as well, because do you remember that just before Eid we actually did a show where we were speaking of Hajj, and
Yes.
to be very honest, I think that was the very exact time when we mentioned that that the West actually now treats Muslims as the new blacks. True. And that's exactly what probably, if we are to speak about blacks, that's certainly something which they have gone through probably in the last 100 years, and now they have a different agenda, and that's how they polarize as well. But in addition to that, I think what I would certainly want to share with our audiences, because we have power too, we go out in 47 different countries. Now imagine that if you look at the flag of Pakistan, ladies and gentlemen, which is right over here on my chest, this white color represents the minorities. Not even once over here in Pakistan any individual from a minority can stand up and say that a desecration of their holy book has taken place. That's the kind of resolve we were given by our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and that's what Allah teaches us in the holy book Quran.
That's true.
Now, it teaches us that you're never going to pressurize anybody to make sure that they come to your religion, Islam, number one. Number two, they say that you really need to kind of make sure that you live in harmony and peace, and that's what it speaks about as well. And even if you listen to our Prime Minister's words, you know, while he was addressing the National Assembly, ladies and gentlemen, he mentioned that it's a religion which is full of peace, which wants to coexist as well. And for the people to understand, I think it's best that you certainly do not hurt the emotions, because unfortunately, there are a lot of other people, just like there was this one guy who was so mad that, you know, after a court order, he was supposed to, unfortunately, desecrate our holy book. Ladies and gentlemen, people can get mad anywhere at any time. And I don't think that, you know, it will be best that we label them that, okay, since he was a Muslim, that was the problem. There have been so many killings by people other than Muslims, ladies and gentlemen, and, you know, people have been saying that, you know, that there was a psychological disorder.
Yes,
People would never say that, you know, it was a problem of faith or religion. And that's something which we certainly need to highlight. That's something which you have been discriminating amongst Muslims and the rest of the world. And this is something which I would want, in fact, I would call this a warning for anybody and everybody out there to please stop doing that. Otherwise, there will be consequences.
And Shahzad, do you remember how we are constantly discussing about how social media is a platform that induces a lot of hatred, right?
True.
And it has been abused by a lot of people because anyone can type anything without any responsibility. And this is how they are inducing a lot of polarization, right, in the society. And so now moving on to our topic where we want to discuss how to induce the national cohesion. And when we talk about national cohesion, so polarization is an important topic which we need to tackle in order to have a more national cohesion and
peace
integration.
building as well.
Yes, and also about the peace building, because obviously we cannot have peace if we have so many polarization, if there's so much disagreement that turns into the conflict in the first place. So we are very glad to discuss more on this topic. We are very glad that we have been joined by Muhammad Kashif Irshad Sahab, who happens to be former advisor to Chief Minister KPK on the foreign investment. Assalamu alaikum, and thank you so much for coming to our show.
Walaikum salam.
Kashif bhai, you know, first of all, I would certainly want to give you a compliment that for a person such young as you are at this tender age, you know, was able to kind of advise the Chief Minister KPK. So it's a great achievement on your behalf, and it's wonderful to have you over here.
Thank you.
But you've heard the previous conversation as well, and you know, we do see in today's time that, you know, that social media is actually used as a tool of mass destruction
And propaganda.
rather than a tool of socializing. And this is something, you know, we can label this for the political parties as well. We can label this for anybody who wants to be with the right wing, with the left wing, with the establishment, with anybody. Everybody is using it as a tool. How do you think that we bring it back to its basics, where we're talking about peace building, where we're talking about national cohesion, we were talking about, you know, coexisting, where we're talking about inclusivity?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul uqdatin min lisani yafqahu qawli. As far as today, we are sitting here, and it's a day which is, you know, in Pakistan, people are protesting about what has happened in Sweden. Whatever activities, whatever actions, this type of actions being taken around the world, they contribute in increasing violence. So, if somebody is sitting in the West and he thinks that his actions, this type of actions which are instigating the emotions, they are directly linked with the emotions of one group or other group. So, these things they you know, they aid, and this is an era of information, an era whereby an action being taken place at a point, any point in the world, is directly being observed at a point B, which is thousands miles away from that point. So, we need to be careful. Everybody, every individual, every civil, every you know, every citizen of the world who thinks that we need peace and prosperity in this world, he should be careful about making certain actions which contribute negatively towards the peace of the world. So, as far as social media is concerned, yes, of course, it's contributing in both senses. It has a positive contribution as well as it is contributing negatively.
True.
And we see that there's a lot of literature on the peace building, on how to attain the peace, especially on the international level, then on the regional levels, then on the national level, individual level, whatnot, right? So, and there has been a lot of discussion, especially the United Nations was erected in order to have a peace in the world, right? There were 2 world wars, and then there was United Nations was established in order to prevent it. But do you think that when we talk about peace building, United Nations has been able to, achieve that objective of having more peace in the world, or do you see more violence all around the world where it's more segmentized in different categories?
And my take on this is obviously United Nations was not able to do so. You know, let's talk in terms of Kashmir as well. And I think that everybody knows, the world knows what the people of Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir are going through.
Palestine,
even till date. Yes, Palestine as well.
Yes, of course. As far as United Nations is concerned, they have their own, limitations because they cannot directly influence the countries as far as the national interests of the countries are concerned. There have been very good Secretary Generals who have been trying to, bring peace around the world, who wanted to mitigate the issues, who wanted to eradicate the issues between nations, and they have tried to do so, but due to certain factors, the international interest conflict zones have remained the international interest conflict zones, like we have Jammu and Kashmir, and it is now an international interest conflict zone. Similarly, the issue of Palestine is also an international interest conflict zone. So, we need to go out of the box and bring out solutions for such issues. As far as the nations are concerned, all the religions around the world, they are advocates of peace. No religion teaches us about the barbarism or brutality or any kind of negative thing towards the humanity. It is the individuals, we the people, who are doing all this for our own interests. We are teaching that the other person is not good. We are telling our kids, we are teaching them that that person is not good. So, we should work for
Kashif,
peaceful coexistence.
What I would say over here is that, imagine, so we are speaking of on behalf of 2 or 2.5 billion Muslims all over the world.
Exactly.
What I am trying to say is that, okay, that might be a very individual act of anybody to say that, okay, this individual is not good or this individual is a very good person. That's an individual act. But when it comes down to our religion, when it comes down to Holy Book, Alhamdulillah, when it comes down to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that's one thing which is not individual. It's a collective thing, and those emotions and sentiments are being heard whether somebody is a practicing Muslim or even not a practicing Muslim. This is something which actually kind of gets us under one umbrella. Now, when it gets us under one umbrella, we speak of the OIC, 57 member states as well. Why don't you think that we are still? Why do you think in the first place we are still unable to stop the desecration of Holy Book we call Quran? Alhamdulillah. Why do you think that we are not still able? For example, how many people do you think talk about Holocaust? Nobody talks about Holocaust because we do know that it hurts their sentiment, and that's something which our religion tells us. Why do you think we are still unable to share it with the West that please make sure that you do not cross this line, and if you cross this line, there will be repercussions? I think that they should be ehtijaj right outside wherever there are embassies of Sweden in any other Muslim countries. Why don't you think that there are protests out there? And I think that that's the right direction for people to go. And I'm calling for a peaceful protest. I'm not saying that people really need to go out there and throw stones and whatnot. What I'm saying is that as Muslims, what we certainly need to do is to be outside the embassies. Wherever Sweden has embassies in Muslim countries, they should go out there and protest outside that.
Exactly. So, as far as the sentiments of the Muslims are concerned, yes, of course, Muslims around the world, they feel alike. They feel alike. Unka, whatever happens is with reference to the Prophet Muhammad, whatever happens with reference to the Holy Quran, all the Muslims around the world, they stand together, because these are the things which we protect. We consider that without having faith in this and without safeguarding the dignity and prestige of the prophethood, without safeguarding the dignity and prestige of the Holy Quran, we are not Muslims. So, this is the reason why we need to communicate properly, and to communicate the international platforms as well as Committee of Nations to make certain laws in their countries. We are trying to do that. We have been successful in declaring a day for Islamophobia, and we are in process to make an international law with reference to this thing. We will be, inshallah, we will be successful in doing so. We hope so that we will be successful in doing so. All the, OIC, they had a meeting, an emergency meeting with reference to this issue, and you can see that we will have good results very soon.
Yeah, we do see that there is a meeting, and OIC has called an emergency meeting, and they will have a statement condemning all of these acts, but we do not see substantial action translating on the ground. And why do you think that such sort of incidents are increasing, and why Islam is particularly targeted? So when we talk about, there are lots of other religions in the world, right? There is Hinduism, Zoroastrianism. I'm not talking about desecrating the sanctity of any other religion for that matter, because this is what Quran teaches us in the first place, right? But we often see that Islam is often on the target, right? Like Shahzad mentions that there are often incidents in the West where white men, they go, they kill the people out there, and it is being labeled as that he has some sort of psychological issue. It is rugged under the carpet in the first place, right? And we do not identify this as a problem in the first place, because we are dealing with the historical baggage, with the historical patterns of the hatreds that are often repeated, right? And this hatred doesn't start from this modern century. It goes back way back to when Islam emerged on the global scene in I think 732 or something like that, right? So how can we curb the Islamophobia in the first place? And secondly, when we talk about social media, it has democratized the power to the common people, but again, that democratization means that there's a lot of polarization, so anyone can type anything, and we often see there are a lot of Islamophobic comments on the social media in the first place. So how can we sway the Silicon Valley, the Twitter, and all of the social media platforms to listen to our voices in the first place?
Make our own.
Yes.
Exactly. So the first thing which we you discussed, that why only Islam is being targeted by the Westerns, are the people who think like this. The reason behind this is that the followers of Islam are the only followers around the world that they prefer to die when it comes to this thing.
The faith.
You can see that in the West there have been, they make movies on the Jesus Christ. They make any type of comments about him. They make comments about Bible. Even in India, you can see the movies like Oh My God, PK, and all this kind of stuff. Around the world, you take any religion and you take any country, they do so, and nobody talks about that. It is only the Muslim community and the people who are having Islam as their faith, they feel this pain more than anybody, and they want to, they want that they should also be like us. Right. But this cannot happen, and this is the reason why everybody comes and they say that why they are like this. If somebody talks about our religion, our prophet, our scriptures, we don't go after that. True. And this is the only religion that its followers, they prefer to die when it comes to the dignity and prestige of its scripture, its holy book.
Any day, any time, they're ready. And which is why I think it is very imperative now, and it's pivotal in this conversation that we kind of talk about that, okay, with 7 billion to 8 billion population, wherever it stands in between somewhere, it is hard to say that, that the peace can be achieved, because every different mindset, every different walk of life will have a very different agenda in life, right? So if we are to define peace for people out there, how would you want to put words to the definition of peace?
Yeah, there are two types of peace actually. One is negative peace and the other one is positive peace.
There's negative peace as well?
Yes, yes. Negative peace refers to the absence of violence in any way. The absence of violence with might, And the positive peace is a kind of peace wherein the society itself grows and explores itself and comes to a level whereby every individual is aware of the cost of the crime, because it contributes and it comes to their family as well. That any crime which is taking place in a society indirectly affects them, and it will be affecting their generations. So negative peace is absence of violence, while positive peace means that we we bring up the society, we make the society aware, we provide opportunities, equal opportunities to every individual, we provide economic opportunities to every individual, we provide equal standard of living to every individual.
Yep.
And this kind of peace is
And this is why, the reason was that, why I wanted you to kind of define peace. Now, imagine that you said that, in positive peace, what's going to happen is that we're going to develop a society, a community, people are going to grow, freedom of speech, freedom of expression, and that's something which has let people do what has happened, just very recently that we are talking about, the desecration of Holy Quran. Now, imagine if we are to talk in the context of Sweden, that's exactly, and I'm very sorry, I feel sorry that because I think it was 2 months ago that I was in Sweden myself, I was in Stockholm, and I feel sorry that I've been to a place where, such a thing happened to our holy book. Now, how do you think that we put limitation through that positive peace where people would have a better understanding of not to hurt anybody's sentiments?
exactly. The most important thing as far as the positive peace is concerned is the feelings and emotions of the other individuals.
True.
Empathy. We need to think about the other people.
True.
We should see a situation standing in their feet, in their shoes. So, this is very important as far as the civility is concerned. Civilization, the growth of civilization, it teaches us that we should think about our neighbors, the people living in a village, the people living in our province, our country, and the whole world. And after the globalization of markets and globalization of production, the phenomena of globalization, the whole world is a global village. So, we all are neighbors, and every individual should consider the sentiments of the other people and whatsoever action or comment he takes.
Beautiful.
Right. Thank you so much for wrapping it up beautifully. And one more thing before we wrap up this segment, which is how to curb Islamophobia, is that I think we need to gather all 57 Muslim countries, especially under the banner of OIC, and we need to dictate our terms of references to the Silicon Valley. And we need to give the ultimatum that if you do not abide by those terms, you're not going to operate in those 57 countries. And I'm pretty sure that Silicon Valley would not want to lose that market, because it is such a huge market. On the patterns of similarly how European Union dealt with the Twitter, because they said the free speech ideals are not going to be implemented. There is some responsibility to do that. And I think it's a high time that we talk about it, because such kind of incidents, hate crimes, xenophobia, Islamophobia is rising every day, which hurts our sentiments in the first place. So thank you so much, sir, for coming to our show, for having this cross-pollination of the ideas.
And very quickly before we head out towards a short break as well, so I think this needs to be a simple message for the West out there, and that is that don't take us as goats. If you are going to push us to the wall, we'll make sure that that we kind of have a stronger rebuttal to that, and we can do that. It's not that we cannot achieve it. We can do that, but our religion tells us to do it peacefully. So I think it's better for the West to understand that peacefully you need to abide by whatever hurt our emotions. You're not supposed to do that. We're heading out towards a short break. Good morning.
Welcome back, and before going on to the break, we were having the conversation regarding the peace and the development, and obviously there is a lot of conversation regarding this, but we were talking about on the international level. Now we want to talk about the regional level, at a country level in the first place. So when we talk about the development, obviously first thing that comes into mind with regards to Pakistan is the CPEC, right? Because CPEC has completed 10 years of its existence, and there is a lot of conversation regarding the CPEC, that it is hailed as a game changer. It will change the destiny of Pakistan, and it will provide an alternative route way. Pakistan will become a transit hub in the first place, and so on and so forth. And there's a lot of railway networks that has been connected with that. There are a lot of road infrastructure that has been created surrounding
one belt, one road as well.
Yes,
and Haja,
yes.
in addition to that, I think what I would certainly want to revert to where we were speaking about how to achieve peace. Now imagine that I think one of the tools for achieving peace, ladies and gentlemen, is to make sure that that for whatever facility we enjoy, everybody else enjoys as well.
True.
And I think that's one thing. And I'll be very honest, dead honest today, and I always try to be honest with my work and with my profession. And to be very honest, I'm not going to shy away that it was Mia Muhammad Nawaz Sharif Saab's, the ex-Prime Minister of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan's vision to kind of bring in CPAC and kind of work on that. And Alhamdulillah, for it to kind of complete its 10 years, I think congratulations to each and every one of us, because it holds a beautiful future, not just for Pakistan, but indeed for Balochistan as well, where the people of Balochistan earlier have always complained about that, that they were left behind. But for the last 10 years, Alhamdulillah, we have seen that, how, the infrastructure has been starting to build up as well. People are trying to invest over there.
Airports are cropping up
Airports
in
are cropping
Gawad.
up. The residential housing societies are cropping up. Just like how we have Blue Area over here. They have the Gawad Blue Area over there as well. Abhi tak वैसे नाम नहीं हुआ plot, but inshallah हो जाएगा. But to kind of discuss about that, ladies and gentlemen, we're very lucky that we've been joined with somebody who's actually spent most of his time in Balochistan on his feet, and so I think he's the best guy to kind of tell us about, what developments have taken place in the last 10 years and what benefit will it hold for all of Pakistan. So without any further ado, I think we're very lucky that we've actually been joined by somebody who happens to be an analyst and director at SDPI. He is Dr. Shafqat Munir. Hello sir, assalamu alaikum, good morning. How are you feeling today?
I'm fine. And you? Good.
And thank you so much, sir, for joining us. So, sir, obviously sitting over here, we do know, how things have been taking place over there, how we have one belt, one road initiative, how we have economic zones popping up, airports, rail networks, roads around the coastal areas as well.
True.
So, you've been there yourself, with your own eyes, you've witnessed it. For the last 10 years, what sort of development has taken place in Balochistan?
I think first of all, I would like to link it with the piece which you talked about.
Yes.
Because Balochistan is an area which was somehow has been in the conflict kind of things, and also is hit by climate change.
True.
So when you have the nexus between climate and conflict, it certainly have impact on development.
True.
So that was a big challenge for Balochistan, and thanks God that our leadership, or leadership both the military and the civil leadership, who thought about Balochistan to bring about the change there, not in the physical infrastructure, but also in the mindset of the people. Because there are a lot of saying about Balochistan, whether it's a no-go area, or whether you can work there or not, what is the culture there. Even I have seen women in the public life as compared to KP. If you want to ask me what is the difference between the culture of these two provinces. So the mindset is a kind of a liberal mindset. I have seen women in the shopping mall or in shopping areas or moving around, as compared to which is not easily possible in other parts, particularly in KP. Because we always correlated with some some areas linking to KP that might have problem, but the other areas are there.
I've been in conversation with Mr. Ayub Khoso Saab, and he actually told me the same thing as well. He's a veterinary actor, ladies and gentlemen.
And when from outside,
yeah.
When we look at Balochistan, we feel, oh, there will be fighting all around. There will be no business going on. But literally, when you go there, you see that there are thriving. You asked about 10 years.
Yeah.
In 10 years, more than 10 universities, new universities were built, and there are students. I met the student and young women students from these universities, the vice chancellor and their faculty. They feel that now people are coming up. Now there is another challenge coming up. Universities and higher education institutions are set up, but the midwifery education system is missing somehow, which needs to be improved.
Okay.
Similarly, on the water side, Balochistan is less than half of Pakistan in terms of the area. But in population is very thin.
That's true.
But despite that, we cannot deny that their development needs are less than us.
That's true.
Why? Because it is the vast area. We can utilize the land there for many other purposes.
That's true.
We have to repurpose. We have to introduce technology in agriculture, because there is the province is a water scarce province. Droughts, which is a big area there. But there are certain crops there. For example, dates.
Achha.
We can have quality dates out of that.
True.
We have mineral in Balochistan. So luckily, this government has done a very good job, which is Sandak and the other project.
And there's some very
Recodect project, please.
interesting conversation on Balochistan, especially I was watching that I think in Gwadar or Avaran in the southern part of the Balochistan that they had this climate resistance crops there that can be protected because of these calamities that we are very vulnerable to in Pakistan. But in order to talk more about the Balochistan and carry forward this conversation and how climate change is impacting, we have a very interesting package. Let's have a look.
Balochistan is the largest province in Pakistan, rich in natural resources such as copper, gold, oil, minerals like coal, sulfur and limestone. The province is known for its long coastal belt, hilltops and rugged mountainous terrain. Baloch culture is characterized by a strong sense of community, a rich cultural heritage that is expressed through their language, music, art and literature. The government is working to tap into these resources to boost the economy. Infrastructure projects such as highways, airports and seaports are underway to improve transportation and connectivity with the province and the region. The China-Pakistan Economic Corridor is also driving development in Balochistan with projects such as the construction of deep sea port at Gwadar and the upgrading of the Quetta-Job Dera Ismail Khan Road. These projects aim to improve transportation infrastructure, create job opportunities and improve access to education and healthcare in Balochistan. Balochistan is facing environmental challenges due to climate change. Rising sea temperatures and plastic pollution are affecting the local economy and livelihoods of coastal communities. Lack of waste management practices are also a challenge. If these practices continue, it will leave a devastating impact on the environment and coastal communities as well.
Education, obviously, and then certainly, ladies and gentlemen, it looks like as if because of climate change, you know, Balochistan actually kind of faces the challenge of water scarcity. So the agriculture, we need to keep that in mind as well. Then waste management. So what are the other challenges? I think let's get done with that and then we'll move on towards solutions. So sir, what are the other challenges which you've witnessed yourself?
You know, basically, we were just discussing earlier also, in Balochistan, there are climatic challenges because there is an arid zone, there are mountainous zones, there are plains, lot of
and beautiful places too.
Beautiful places there, and geopolitical importance. If you look at one side, the border is with Afghanistan, then Iran, and then the big coastal belt.
True.
All the three have their own sensitivities.
True.
That's why providing protection and security was an important. And then there are 3 layers of security done because so that the development are not impacted, so that the climatic issues are handled.
Can you take us through those 3 levels?
Yeah, I will take you. One is the border area, which is first control is with the FC, Frontier Corps. Then in the middle region, then there is partly some areas where army and FC is there, and the third layer is police and levies. Now, as I said, I have seen changing. What is the change? Now a lot of work has been given to the police and levies. The in the cities, on highways, only bordering area that are being covered by the armed forces, which is obviously the mandate of the armed forces.
Exactly.
And inside, even from Quetta, recently they have removed many of the checkposts, which was a bone of contention, because now the role has been taken over by the police and levies.
Wonderful.
And it has a positive impact.
And it speaks volumes about how the security situation is over there. And so what
that's why it has a positive impact on development side.
And which is why I wanted to ask you that, because we are about to move on to the development side, what role does the provincial government play over there and how it is taken by the locals?
Provincial government will do better now, because earlier they were always having that they have resource constraint. Now, as I was telling, these 2 agreements, renegotiation of agreement, Rekoduk and Sandek project, they will give 25% of the revenue to Balochistan, which was earlier 2%. And with this big amount, and spending, there is a spending plan also. If you look at Balochistan Comprehensive Growth and Development Strategy 22-26, so these 5 years are really going to change the fate of Balochistan in terms of development, in terms of per capita income, in terms of livelihood issues, in terms of combating with the droughts, desertification, water scarcity issues, because there are projects will be out of this. This strategic plan, the growth plan talks about all these improvements.
Wonderful.
Education I already told about.
Yes.
So when these things will happen, and certainly on the climate change, why it is getting worse in Balochistan, if, look at the scale of global. When we say Pakistan is least polluter,
Yes.
the word is polluter.
Yes.
They are not paying us
True.
for their
Pollution, yeah.
pollution and overconsumption and overproduction. Same we are doing with Balochistan. From our north, from Punjab, from our north and the other, all the impacts goes to the down to the south, which is Balochistan. So Balochistan's claim is that it should not be given the resources on the basis of just the population formula.
Right.
So there should be a new negotiated formula which provide more resources so that they can cope up with the climatic hazard,
I
which
think-
is huge. Even today,
Right.
Kolu has been inundated in water,
Okay.
and previously the flash flood, recent flash flood, and if you look at 22 big flood, super flood, Balochistan the second biggest hit province in Pakistan after Sindh,
Right.
whereas Punjab and KP are not that much hit.
True.
Because the local weather conditions developed in the south
That's true.
from the Hamar Lake catchment area down to the Manchar Lake in Sindh. So
Right.
that 100-kilometer area was inundated. We have seen the devastating flood.
And-
So this is because of the climate change.
And we've seen that especially when you talk about the distribution of this resources, and NFC's parameter has changed a lot. So firstly it was based just on the population or the area, but now the parameters have changed. So there's a lot of discussion going on, especially by our states, to look after the people of Balochistan. So now let's move to the climate change, because that is your area of interest. And like you mentioned, Balochistan was the worst hit area last year when there was a massive and abnormal monsoon and the water moved from Balochistan to the north, right? So how can we protect that particular area of Balochistan from this climate change? What are the climate smart solutions that you are working on and that you might have seen being implemented in that area?
I think looking at the situation in Balochistan, we should go by natural based solutions, nature based solution. We should go for plantation. We should have new watering techniques so that in less water we can do more. I would quote here the example of China. China per capita water availability
Yes.
is very less than even us. But how they are thriving, how they are making themselves food secure, because they have new techniques.
Okay.
They are using new agriculture technique,
Okay.
they have sprinkler water technique, they have other water techniques to consume water, and in less water they can provide the solution to the people.
True.
So that's where we have to be very innovative.
But sir,
in
they built a
Balochistan.
dam which actually kind of reduces the orbitation time of the entire globe as well. So they're obviously coming up with
interesting.
newer techniques,
Yes.
and everybody needs to do this. And in Balochistan, I think a lot of people have moved on towards solar energy. And when you go visit Balochistan, you see so many solar panels which you might not even see all
And
over.
even wind energy. There is
Exactly.
a potential
Wind
for
turbines, that's true.
Exactly.
wind turbine.
And it's a clean source of
The
energy.
strategy I'm talking about,
Yes.
the comprehensive growth strategy, that encompasses all these areas, how to address
Yes.
them.
Which is why towards the end, sir, I would like to ask you, what is the sentiment of a Balochi now?
There are mixed kind of sentiments.
Okay.
I met a lot of people, those who were always complaining, but now I have seen less people complaining, and some of them who were complaining hard, they are less in complaining. Now they have complained not with the state of Pakistan, or they say that our own leaders are now they have turned their
Towards
focus
it,
there,
yeah.
because it's a now local governance issue.
True.
That's the next challenge which
Exactly.
you want to
and
be
we'll
the
certainly talk about it, but
Yes.
thank you so much,
Thank
Dr.
you
Saab,
so
for being
much.
with us. Lovely to be in conversation with you. And obviously, I think everybody needs to look at a bigger plan and at a bigger picture as well. And there's certain time period when obviously certain growth will take place, such strategies will come into place, such policies will come into place, inshallah. And just like Sindh, Balochistan, Punjab and KPK and GB, ladies and gentlemen, we grow together. We are Pakistan, and that's why we live in harmony, and that's why we say Pakistan Zindabad. But with that, there's a very disturbing news which we got just last night, and I would certainly want to pay my respect to this amazing human who's actually left us for his journey, ladies and gentlemen. Akbar Malik Saab, who happens to be the director programs at PTV, has left us for his final journey. Inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi rajiun. He came back after offering his pilgrimage, his Hajj this year round. And as soon as he came back, you know, the news came in that he's passed away, unfortunately. Sir, may your soul rest in peace and patience for the bereaved. You know, everybody over here at PTV is actually sad, and we're certainly praying for the departed soul. And I'm going to request you all to please to pray for all the departed souls out there, and that Allah gives us patience to bear that loss.
That's true. And until next time, it's a goodbye and Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz. Jumma Mubarak.